Everyone, this is lecture 6, and in this lecture I'll talk about food plant sanitation programs. Please be remember that we will not talk about the sanitation, because what is sanitation we know. What is so what is food sanitation? What is the goal of food sanitation? So goal of food sanitation is to produce safe food for the consumers. Okay, I mean those safe foods, they will be free from contaminations like microbial contaminations, chemical contaminations. Okay, and I mean which can cause harm to the consumers. Okay, harm to the consumers' health. So this is the goal of sanitation, to produce safe food. So how this goal is achieved? By properly cleaning the plant, properly doing all the disinfectant procedures. So we have already learned about things. I mean, I have already discussed about this in the previous lecture. Okay, that is lecture 5. So in this lecture, I'll mainly talk about the different part of the sanitation program. By different part, I means that I mean a sanitation program. It's include different kind of things like training for the uh, manager, training for the worker, etc. Okay, so let's just start. So sanitation program, it starts with a commitment. Commitment for what? To construct, upgrade, and or maintain the food process stream, so that all aspects of GSP, that is good sanitation practice, are adhered to both in later and in intent. That means one goal of these programs is to commit. Okay, to commit towards what? That we will have all the necessary procedures documented in the written form, which are necessary to do all the cleaning and disinfection procedure properly. And only the documentation is not enough, it also should be our intention. I mean, we should be committed to properly follow those guidelines. Okay, so now the reason for committing a food processing service, transport, or storage operations are many. Because if we fail to keep the commitment, okay, this may result in economic penalties due to lack of consumer confidence and or legal actions by consumer groups and regulatory agencies. Because if we fail to keep our commitment, the will produce faulty food, bad food, dangerous food, right? And the consumers will definitely not take it in a good way. Okay, the consumers will be, I mean, we will lose our consumers' confidence. So it will do a devastating blow to the business, right? You will lose your market, and this is not only one. I mean, it's not the only thing that okay, the customers is not buying your food anymore. You are having economical loss. Okay, definitely you will have it, but this is not the only one. At the same time, maybe you have to face some legal actions taken by the different consumer groups and also by the regulatory agencies, right? Because they okay. So the food sanitation program, actually this program includes not only the procedures of doing proper cleaning and disinfection that we have discussed in the last lectures. Also these programs, they include different training programs to train the workers of the plant. Okay, and this kind of training programs, they can be formalized situation in which class outlines, books, clever visual aids are used. I mean, when you will perform this kind of training programs, you should use class outlines. You should use different books. Okay, some audio visual items. Okay, and visual aids can be helpful, provided they tell their stories that appeals to and make an impression one. Okay, visual aids is always actually better than just the text, right? Such as here only text. So I'm sure you are getting very bored. But if there are many visual things, maybe I mean you will get more interested. Yeah, that's actually normal. So whenever you will try to design a training program, please keep it in mind that you have to put lots of visual things there. Okay, lots of photos, lots of videos, etc. Okay. And for the training program, training films, slides, talks, and video cassette programs are available from a variety of sources. I mean, if you want to design a training program to train your worker to train your worker regarding the sanitation, you actually can find the necessary materials like film, slides, uh, uh, video, audio cassettes. Okay, different programs. Actually, I mean, there are different organizations from where you can collect these things, which are applicable for the industry level training. Okay, and usually sanitation topics are included in food microbiology and food hygiene courses in food and dairy science departments of many universities. If you Google it, okay, if you search the net, you will find that basically, I mean, you will find separate course on just on the sanitation. Okay, and many different universities around the world, they offer graduate level courses only focused on sanitation. Okay, so basically, I mean, like suppose you are owner of the plant and you want to train your uh, workers. Okay, you can also take help from there, right? You can. Okay, and not only this one, actually, if you search the internet, actually there are many different training programs there. I mean, you don't. It's not necessary that you have to go to the university. And okay, like suppose you want to train your workers. Okay, you just cannot send them in the university. Maybe it will not be feasible. But what you can do, there are lots of. I mean, also like suppose you want to train your workers. Also like suppose you are working in a food plant. Okay, and you need to develop yourself, so you need some professional training. So there are lots of professional training available nowadays. Okay, so you can enroll those courses or training programs, and even you can get certificates, which certificates are accepted by the authorities. Okay, now then trade association often provide excellent sanitation training programs with documents and promotional materials. Okay, different trade association they also sometimes offers they offers various type of professional training program. Okay, and regulatory agencies have recognized and encouraged this information dispensation function to the extent that is useful for establishing modern sanitation programs for industry. Okay, which is called GMP, Good Manufacturing Practice. Okay, GMP, I mean the Good Manufacturing Practice. These are actually a compilation of the SOPs, the guidelines, or the informations. Okay, which need to be followed or applied in a food processing plant. Okay, and different regulatory agencies they actually recognize these GMP procedures. Okay, and they also encourage this to be, I mean, to apply in the food plant. Okay, okay, this was about the training programs, and now, I mean, basically, as I just said, I mean, if you search, look into the net, you will find different training programs. Okay, suppose say you are a food safety manager, okay, or you want to be a food safety manager. So definitely, I mean, for the role of food safety manager is actually big because they are kind of responsible. Okay, they are kind of responsible for the safe food production. Okay, so and I don't know, I'm not sure about the requirement of Bangladesh, but actually, in many countries, if you want to be a food safety manager, you need professional level training. Okay, and different organizations they offer this kind of trainings. Even like I saw some training programs. After finishing those programs, you will get a certificate, and there is a validity period of those certificate, like maybe 5 years, 3 years. Okay, and those certification courses they are recognized by the companies. Okay, so if you get those certifications, those are usually professional certificates. So maybe you will get preference, or it will help you to, I mean, get a job more easily, or be a successful or effective it's a food safety manager. Okay, so this slide actually uh, I mean, it's depicts some of the core topics which are covered in a by the food safety manager training programs. Okay, so what are those core topics like uh, the food safety manager training programs. It includes these things like applicable sanitary requirement. Okay, I mean, what is required for the sanitary program? Foodborne illness. This is actually important. Suppose you tell people that okay, you have to do the, I mean, you have to do all the sanitation procedure properly. Even the people did, I mean, many times many people they don't get serious. Okay, they don't take it seriously, that or they really, why, I mean, they still try to lag behind. Okay, they still try to avoid the proper sanitation, I mean, avoid implementing sanitation program. So that's why it is important to train them about the foodborne illness. So, I mean, if they have a good idea about the illness borne by the food, I mean, if the food are contaminated by pathogenic organism, what kind of severe disease they can cause to the consumer's health. Okay, so if the safety manager or the working personnel they have clear idea about this, that these foodborne illness diseases, maybe they will be more serious about this, about the procedures. Okay, and they will be more sincere to properly follow the guidelines of sanitation. Okay, then food handling practices. So I mean, how to handle the food by which we can avoid contamination, right? Like safe food sources, food flow in establishment, storage, preparation, service. I mean, how we have to handle the different process of the food manufacturing plant. Okay, then personal, I mean, some personal training, how to like hygiene training, job description. Okay, I mean, what is hygiene, how we can maintain personal hygiene or also hygiene in the plant. Okay, I mean, also uh, I mean, this kind of food safety manager training, they also include information about different kind of training. I mean, if they want to perform particular work, what kind of training they should acquire, and job description. I mean, what's their role? What's their duty? Okay, what's the responsibility of a food safety manager? Equipment management, I mean, how to manage all the equipments, insect and rodent control. Okay, these are some core topics. Okay, these are not all. Okay, usually the food safety manager training programs, they cover those professional programs are very comprehensive. Okay, I mean, they cover almost everything. Okay, so these are just the core topics. Okay, now we talked about the training, core topics of the training program for food safety manager. Now training for food service workers. Okay, if you just train your manager, it will be never enough. Okay, so also you have to properly train your workers. So what kind of training the workers should get? Okay, they should get proper idea, I mean, training about the equipment that they use. I mean, how to disassemble those equipment or how to clean those equipment. Okay, uh, about they should be aware of the pest control. Okay, the housekeeping procedures that lead to good sanitation practice, that is GSP, knowledge about nutrition and public health, and good food handling practices. I mean, you have to train your workers about all these things. It is actually necessary. Okay, if the workers are not properly trained, I mean, doesn't matter how good manager you have, how efficient manager you have. If the workers who will actually do the real thing, I mean, who will actually do the training, if they are not trained properly, it will be almost impossible to achieve your goal. So, what's your goal as a, I mean, what's your goal if you have own a food manufacturing plant to produce safe food? Okay, and to produce safe food, sanitation is inevitable. Okay, sanitation must be done properly. Okay, so who do this? The workers. So that's mean you have to train your workers properly. Okay. Okay, and there are some regulatory programs. Okay, like this. I mean, like kind of you can say standard or internationally accepted regulatory program. So in addition to in-house sanitation programs, regulatory agencies also have established programs, both voluntary and required, which relate to all aspects of plant sanitation. So, and these are also popularly called HACCP, Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point, and GMP, Good Manufacturing Practice. Okay, so these are actually programs like HACCP and GMP. Okay, so these programs are okay. Actually, okay. So whether a plant have to follow the HACCP or GMP, it's actually depend. Like for example, a plant. I mean, your plant manufactures food for Bangladesh, and you have a plant in Bangladesh, and you are manufacturing food for this country. Okay, so in that case, you have to follow the guidelines or regulation of the local authority. For example, BSTI. Okay, so you have to follow their guideline. But if you want to say you want to export in some other country, say suppose in you want to export in USA, then you have to follow their guideline. Okay, and all the countries they actually have their own guideline. So if you want to, I mean, or suppose say for example, well, I mean, like, you don't export your product, but you you get certification from the, like, for example, ISO. Okay, so if you have an ISO certification, it actually help you to gain customers' trust, right? I mean, if you have a certification from an international organization, maybe your customer will have more faith on you that your food is safe. So, in that case, you must have to follow their guidelines, okay? And I mean, those guidelines are actually mainly developed from HACCP and GMP, okay? Finally, quality assurance programs. Okay, so what is quality assurance program? To assure the quality of the food. Okay, so and the essential elements of this program is like definition and identification of jobs and personnel relating to and responsible for quality assurance tasks. Okay, so every working personnel's job description should be clear cut. Like all the person. Okay, so I mean, like, in a quality assurance program, there are different work personnel. Okay, so job description of every personnel should be clearly defined. Okay, otherwise it will cause confusion. Okay, if people don't know what their responsibilities, what they have to do, they need to do. Okay, if they don't have clear idea about that, about this, it will always create a confusion. Okay, so it should be avoided by any cost. So that's why job description should be very clearly defined. Okay. Then establishment of process flowchart. The flowchart should be there. So I mean, what should be? I mean, what I will do first, then. Okay, the process flowchart should be there and established. Okay, and evaluation of specific process points as critical for maintaining product safety. Actually, these are called critical control point. I mean, in a food processing plant, there are several steps or several area from where contamination can get into the food. These are called critical control points. So all these critical control points should be evaluated. Okay, and we have to actually concentrate on those points to prevent all kind of contamination. Okay, systems for monitoring these points. I mean, you identify these points, these critical points. You should also have the system to monitor these points. Okay, and also a specific and then specifications of raw materials, product stream packaging, storage conditions, and finished products. Okay, then sanitation manual that delineates all aspects of quality assurance program. The manual is actually important. I mean, people actually, they forget things. It's nature of us. We human, we forget things. Okay, so we cannot do things from our memory always. So if we just try to memorize something and also try to use the information from our memory, there is always chance that we may do mistakes. Okay, It's very very natural that we'll do mistakes. So that's why there should be manual. Okay. Program checks. You have to check the program whether this program is effective, and management commitment to the program. This is very important. The management. I mean, the owner of the plant, they should be committed to the program. I mean, suppose you are a owner of the plant and you get certification from you get certificate. I mean, certification from some international organization. Suppose you get certification from the ISO. So you should be committed to the ISO program, right? I mean, you get the certificate, that is not enough. You should be committed enough that you will properly follow the guidelines of ISO. Okay. Okay, so that was all about for lecture 6. Okay, so thank you for your patience.